Starting at the beginning, when I first got into lifting, I found myself doing a lot of pressing at the decline position. So doing decline bench, I did that one a lot. Weighted dips, that was something that I did a good bit too. And a lot of that was that, frankly, they just felt good. You know, I was young and new to lifting. I wanted to move as much weight as I could. So I think it felt good in that way, kind of an ego boost. But also, when I first got into this, I was very flat-chested. My shoulders wanted to take over in everything. So when I was doing something like a flat bench or a flat dumbbell bench, that was all I felt, was a lot of shoulders. Part of that, I'm sure, was due to improper technique, but my shoulders really did just take over on everything. So that decline angle really helped me get into my chest and feel that be the prime mover more and develop that a good bit. So I spent a lot of time working with those. Eventually I started to incorporate more work in the flat angle and some incline here and there. But the first few years was a lot of decline work. And then around 2019-ish, that's when I started focusing on more of a powerlifting or just more barbell strength focused type of training for about 3 years. And in that, it was all flat bench. I mean, I pretty much specialized in that for a long time. And I worked my way up to a pretty respectable 3-plate bench at around 180, 190. I can't remember my exact body weight. So I wasn't breaking any records, but I got fairly strong. And I certainly developed strength and size during that time. I definitely built my chest up from where it was. So it wasn't wasted time by any means, but all that time spent doing a lot of decline in the beginning and a lot of flat for a while, I really built up my lower and mid chest quite well, but I felt that my upper was really lagging. And as I started to transition back to more of a bodybuilding style of training by about 2022-ish, that's where I decided, okay, I need to swap out the flat bench for the incline bench. That's gonna obviously work the upper chest more, and if I approach it the way that I have my flat bench with that same level of intensity and striving for progress with it, then I should see results, and that's exactly what's happened. By about 2023, that was the majority of what I was doing. I was spending 90+% of my chest training in that incline angle, specifically around 30 degrees. At this point in my training, I've got 3 main pressing movements, being the incline barbell, I've stuck with that, the incline Smith bench, which I'm really loving a lot, and what I'm calling the incline isolateral Smith, which are these trolleys that I have on the rack here that are basically independent Smith machines that can move separately. So those are my 3 presses that I have regularly in my program right now, and they're all at that 30-degree angle, which I know could sound like overkill, but I have just found that really sticking with that angle and working it consistently has done the best for my overall chest growth, but particularly in the upper chest. I don't feel that I am missing out on anything. Could I potentially be making a little more here or there from incorporating those other angles? Possibly. And am I ever going to stray outside of those angles? I already do sometimes, but am I ever going to leave that again? I'm sure I will. I plan to lift for the rest of my life. I have a hard time imagining that I'm never going to do flat bench press again. But it's been over 2 years now at this point. I really don't feel like I've missed out. I've really enjoyed the incline bench. That's a big part of it too. Any of those movements that you're going to take as your big kind of bread and butter, your markers of progression over time, you've got to enjoy it on some level. There's got to be that level of engagement there, and that's exactly what I found with the incline bench. Beyond just enjoying it, I have seen a lot of other benefits too, and that's what I want to kind of deep dive on, why I think it has been so productive. One of the big reasons that I think for bodybuilding purposes it is so productive is because you simply have further that you have to go down with the bar to try and touch your chest than you do on a flat bench, particularly if you're getting a high level of arch. I know that online YouTube fitness community for the past year or two has been pretty obsessed with the whole stretch thing, but there's absolutely some merit to that further, deeper stretch under load just being a better stimulus. Now, that's also going to depend on your build and how you tolerate that. It feels great for me. If it doesn't for you, that's something that you might have to work with as far as, you know, changing your grip angle. Some people find that the overhand pronated position of a regular fixed bar incline bench doesn't feel great. So maybe something like a Swiss bar is better, or dumbbells, or some sort of machine that lets you angle your grip. I believe that there's some sort of variation out there for most people where they can take advantage of that 30-degree incline or something close, maybe a little below, a little above, that will work for you and get you that upper chest work that you're looking for. So you have that deeper stretch, and with that comes a better stimulus to fatigue ratio, basically getting more out of less weight, something Alex Leonidas talks about all the time. And that's something that, you know, if you're still early, if you're still new to the game, and frankly, you're just not very strong yet, it doesn't really need to be on your radar. But as you get stronger and as you advance more, that's certainly something to consider. If you can take a target muscle and make it work harder using less load, that's going to potentially be easier on the joints and beat you up less. So if you can get greater work for getting beat up less, that's kind of a no-brainer. So you have that better stretch, you have potentially a better stimulus to fatigue ratio than something like a flat bench. But also when it comes to shoulder training. So unless you're really trying to specialize in shoulder training, or your shoulders are really lagging and so they need the extra work, if you're doing a lot of incline benching, you just don't have to directly target those front delts nearly as much. I haven't had any direct shoulder pressing in my routine for probably as long as I've went without flat benching, a good couple years or more now. And so again, if you need the extra work, then don't neglect it, but that's not the case that I'm in. I've never really had a problem with shoulders. Like I said, they were always very dominant. So I find myself at the very least maintaining my front delts, if not growing them still, just from the incline press, while still getting a ton of chest work that I'm looking for. So in a situation like that, you're potentially looking at being able to consolidate your energy and effort into one movement that's going to give you more bang for your buck as far as getting a ton of chest and still plenty of shoulders. And that's going to allow you to save that energy for some other aspect of your training, which is great. But something that has to be considered as well is if you are doing a lot of incline pressing, you might want to do shoulder press still, but you may have to be careful because there is a lot of overlap there as far as what's being trained. So you could run into some potential overuse. That's a programming consideration that you need to make. So another thing to consider as well when it comes to incline pressing, particularly with dumbbells where you can't, start from the top, you're not unracking it like you are the bar, you're having to kick them up. I work with several clients who are either older or have back issues, and I found with them that when we're doing dumbbell pressing, which works really well for a lot of people, the barbell's great, but that freedom of movement I found with a lot of clients just makes it easier to get into a position that feels right. And if I take these people and have them kick all the way back on the flat bench and then try and get all the way up out of that, it's not ideal for some of those situations. So if you're someone like that or you're working with someone like that, the incline bench is just a great way to be able to get in and get out of position much easier and potentially much safer. So that's another advantage it has there as well in just kind of a practical sense. So I want to wrap all of this up with saying that I know I'm really talking highly of the incline bench because I really like it. I think it's great. I think it has a lot of benefits. But that's not to say that the flat bench is bad. It's not just one or the other. They each have their benefits. They each have their place. And the flat barbell bench helped me build a lot of my strength and a lot of my size. I just think that there came a stage in my training where I needed to go outside of that to continue to get what I was looking for. If you're finding yourself in that same camp, experiment. Play with the incline angle. You don't have to take what I say as law. You can try the 30-degree to start out there, but if you find you need something a little bit different, a little bit lower, closer to 15, a little bit higher, closer to 38, 45-ish, then, play with that, but really give it some time. Don't just try it a session or two and then give up on it. Really, put the work in, find what feels good for you, and if you do that, I really think that it's going to pay off for you the way that it has for me as far as seeing more progress in the upper chest. So if this is something that you're interested in trying out, or you have been working with the incline bench for quite a while now, let me know what you think as far as what angle works best for you and what variations that you like to utilize. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Please like and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. I'm really trying to grow the channel a bit, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.